Hi guys, in this lecture I will show you how to reverse an animation, and it's a quite important strategy here to use when you are doing motion graphics. Well, think about it. If you introduce a lower title here, do you really want it till the end of the video and you're explaining things or you're showing something on the video? You don't want that. You want it, for example, at 5 seconds after people have read it to disappear. Well, there are several ways to do that, and there is a special section about motion graphics timed games where you will learn several methods. But for now, since we are in motion graphics, I will show you the keyframe method. So let's start. We don't want to mess this composition. I'm sure you need it for later on to do some modifications. So we are going to create a duplicate. I will select the old times from the project panel, and then to duplicate it, I press Ctrl D or Command D on the Mac. So now you have an identical composition, but the name has been added. This is 1, this is 2. Now we're not going to leave it 2, we're going to rename it and call it reverse. Okay, we double click to open it. It's very good practice to close the previous one because they are same animation. You might get confused and do work on both of them. So we decided at 5 seconds just over here, we want to reverse this animation. We want it to come out in a fancy way. Let's take the background here and press U to see the keyframes. Well, notice what we have. We have animated the roundness. If you use J to go back, it is animated here from 0 till 50. Or if you look at the previous one, from 100% reverse to 0%. Well, you can come over to 5 seconds here and decide to recreate an animation that will remove the background. For example, to fade it out, use opacity, or maybe use position to take it out on the right. But it will be much nicer to replicate this animation in reverse. Let me show you. Let's select all these keyframes. Okay? Now I press Ctrl C or Command C on the Mac, and then set the time indicator wherever you want to start reversing, let's say at 5 seconds, and you press Ctrl V. But notice what happened here. Nothing has happened. It has been recreated. Actually, we just duplicated the keyframes. Fine? Now we need to reverse them. To reverse them is very easy. You can select 2 keyframes like this, right click and say Keyframe Assistant, and here you have Time Reverse Keyframes. Notice you're reversing the time of the keyframes. If you click, what happened exactly? Let's go backward. You notice that the second keyframe is now the roundness 0, and the one that is previous, it's 50. Here it was 0, 50, now it's 50, 0. Well, cool. The animation has been reversed. Notice what's happening. Instead of going from square to round, it's going from round to square. Cool. Let's do the same for the other 2 keyframes that are working with scale. Select both of them, right click, Keyframe Assistant, and Time Reverse Keyframes. Here you are. Now, if you play, there is something still wrong. It is reversing the animation, but notice how we went. We went with the scale first, then roundness. But here we're going for the scale, then the roundness. No, we need to go with the roundness, then the scale. So I will select these 2 keyframes, as simple as this, and push them backward and try a bit to match them. For example, just like this. Okay? I think they're matching. Like this will be better. Cool. So now they're almost matching over here. Notice when you used the reverse, it did not move the keyframes around. It just, reversed them. The first one became last and the last one became first. Now, if you play your animation, here you are. Let's hide the other layers to see it very well. So I will hide all the top layers by, putting off the eye here. This is the visibility. If I play, here you are. It opens and then give it time to render. It goes back. Okay. Now, if you don't like it, of course, you can come and play with it. Let's play it again on full without rendering. That's pretty cool, if you like that. But for example, okay, here in our case, we can remove the roundness if it's bothering you, or even speed it up a bit, so you don't see it so clearly. Cool. It's up to you to do it. This method is very good. What's tedious about it, you have to go a layer at a time. For example, let's take these 2 layers, the square and the welcome. If I press U, I can see the keyframes here. If I copy here For the two layers, the keyframes, I press Ctrl C and come after at 5 seconds, for example, paste. Notice what happens. It's the layers that have been pasted and not the keyframes. So actually this method works a layer at a time. So you'll come over here, select the keyframes for a single layer, press Ctrl C, you copy them, Ctrl V, you pasted them, and simply right click and go keyframe assistance. Fine, but this is how I work. I'm gonna delete this example, gonna open the keyframes for all the layers except this one is already open. Okay, let's take it up. So I will select these four, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, fine. Select these two, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, or Command C, Command V, you know that. These two, okay, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and these two, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Now, these of course are not reversed. Okay, guys, so I will select all of them. Fortunately, if you right click and go keyframe assistant and time reverse keyframes, it works for all the layers. Here you are. So let's look at our animation now. If you play it, we need to give it time to render. And here you are. Well, that's pretty cool. Okay, guys? That's very nice, in fact. Let's play it in real time, see exactly how it's happening. Very fine. Now, you can also come over here, since the job is done, you tweak it better, you make the background speedier, for example. Let's bring in the background. Let's take the keyframes here and simply move them so they can work with all the rest. Okay, notice? Yep, speedier. So, this is the method to reverse an animation using the keyframes. And you surely need to get used to it. You are going to copy and paste keyframes all over the place all the time. It's just common practice. Thank you very much for listening. And in the next lecture, I will show you how to cut off the layers.